Welcome to the Lara Jane Layton Show. This podcast is for you, the person who keeps putting others first. Your self-talk has held you back. You no longer need to take a second seat. Let's explore ways to overcome self-doubt. You can silence that inner bully voice and achieve your full potential. Here's your host, Lara Jane.
Hello, listener. It's your host, Lara Jane, and I am so excited to be here with Lyndy. Lyndy's my new best friend. I get a best friend every week, and it's so much fun. But today we are going to talk about intuition. And the part about this intuition is how we enhance it so that we can rely on it for our daily lives. And then I also told Lyndy that wherever the spirit takes us, we're going to talk about that. So we might be all over the place, but you will hear about intuition. And when you're all done listening to this episode, I know you're going to want to get a hold of Lyndy, and everything about her is in the show notes, how to get a hold of her and all that really fun, fancy stuff. And if we talk about a book, we'll put that in there too. If we talk about these really cool cards, we'll put that in the link too. So everything's there for you. Lyndy, I'm so excited to have you because I totally believe in intuition. I totally believe in trusting it, but I still doubt it and I don't use it all the time. So help me to better build my intuition muscle.
Thank you so much for having me on, Laura. I'm thrilled to be here. Yes, this is something that I love helping my clients with is growing and expanding their intuition, because I have this genuine belief that everybody is intuitive. And but I have this thing about learning your own language with that. I think we can get very caught up with, oh, this is exactly how it works and I have to do this and this must be a thing. But I don't really believe in the rules. Like there's obviously, I think if you go in with good intention and a kind heart, you kind of can't fuck it up. But if you're complicating it and trying to live by someone else's example when using your intuition, you're going to find it more complicated, because I prefer to use the method where I teach people to find the tips and the hints for their own intuition and expand that. So I refer to it as their own intuitive language. So I can give you the ABCs, but you've got to work. You would have to work on it and find out how to speak it clearly. And it takes time. I think that we kind of have these intuitive downloads, and I'm sure you've done it before, and I'm sure your listeners have as well, where you get something, you go, that was so intuitive. I knew that was going to happen. Oh my gosh, how do I do it again? And trying to force it to happen again is almost impossible.
Oh, yes. I love it when it comes. I love it and I appreciate it. And like I told you, sometimes I doubt it.
Yeah.
But when it doesn't come, when I have no feeling or no inspiration, that is what scares me.
Yeah. And I think that often, we need to forgive ourselves a little bit for that, because I've been doing readings and energy clearings and all sorts of stuff, all sorts of woo-woo things for a very, very long time. I still go and get readings and clearings done on myself, because trying to get your own information is difficult, because for me to get the perspective of someone else, tune into their energy and have a clear perspective, quite easy, because I'm not involved. There's no part of me that's overthinking the information coming through. But when it's for me, I start thinking and planning, and then all of a sudden that intuitive snippet that I got is dead because I've thought it to death. So
that makes so much sense.
I know,
why
right?
I still trust somebody else to give it to me more. And it isn't because I don't trust what I got. It's that I end up overthinking it and not just letting it be at that natural message.
Yeah, absolutely. And I often what comes up in a session with my clients is that they say, oh, that's great confirmation. Often a reading with someone else is confirmation for really shit you probably already knew, but you've opened up every tab about that topic and don't know which tab is the right one. So it just creates some clarity. And this is the thing about all intuitive kind of guidance or readings and healings and things. I think it just creates a sense of clarity. We get a lot of stuff in our head that is just taking up space and magnifying and creating this cloudiness that doesn't let us think clearly. Whereas I like to get in there and kind of clear things out for people just with that connecting them more solidly to their future and helping them see what's available. Because obviously with a reading, nothing's ever set in stone. Excuse me. It's always going to be up to you, your own choices, all of those things. But having some clarity about what could be possible is enough for people to go, oh gosh, I don't need to be all concerned about this anymore. I can be very aware, but be headed in a slightly different direction, which feels so much lighter and brighter. And that's what I love to do, because it creates a space where people feel less anxious. And I love that for people.
Oh, I get really, like, when I started this podcast and stuff, I'm like, I don't know why I'm doing this. It's so stupid. Nobody wants to hear me. And I kept being told, you are to do this. And it's like, I don't like to share. I don't like to tell people. And all of that fight, it took over a year before I finally said, okay, I'm doing it. But it's that same thing as that doubt of, oh, this is just wishy-washy. That's not really coming from anywhere real. And so I'd have to get external people to validate it. And I want to not have to rely. I mean, I'm happy to have God, source, whomever, that wisdom that I tune into. I don't know anything, but for some reason, wisdom comes to me at the right time, at the right moment. And I appreciate that download, that ability to have that message that can be shared. So when I talk most of the time on this podcast, it's not me. It might be about me, but it's not something I would have picked to share. It's something I'm being told to share.
Yeah, exactly. And I refer to it. So that is you using your intuition. That would be my interpretation of that. And I think a trick that I've learned over a period of time is, well, the way I think that I verbalize things a little bit differently to others, but I refer to it when I'm in a session with someone else. I put myself into neutral, and you probably are doing the same thing when you're doing your podcast. Is it's almost like your logical self just takes a step back, and that's where the clarity is. How do you make yourself do that? That's going to be different for everybody. So
right.
I call it getting in the zone, but you can call it whatever you want, as long as your logic takes a step back and lets the information. So it's a bit more feeling, a bit more heart-led. It doesn't mean your brain's not engaged, because it absolutely is, but it's just a little bit, everything about you is a little bit more open, a little bit more willing to receive whatever messages are coming through from whatever the fuck you believe in.
And a lot more willing to be vulnerable.
Yes.
It just like, you're supposed to share this. I'm sorry, I'm not dishing on anybody. I'm just sharing it because it's an experience. Every guest that I have interviewed knows that I have at least 4 or 5 cleansing breaths before getting engaged and engaging the audience, because I have to get out of my head.
Yeah.
If I don't get out of my head, this doesn't flow. And so you are speaking words that I intuitively have done and didn't consciously think, other than I just need to get into my heart, get into that space where spirit can guide.
Yep, exactly. And you can word it however you want. Some people complicate the shit out of it. I love it. I love an easy process personally, but the cleansing breath's beautiful, done. Yeah, that's what I would call, getting into neutral, getting into a space where it's open. So it all works. But I think that's the thing, is that we either don't appreciate how our intuition is helping us day to day, because we think, oh, that's just what I do. Oh, that's just who I am. That's happened all the time. And we dismiss it, or we overthink the shit out of it, and then it dissipates and then we complicate it by going, where was it? Where did it go? I had this idea, and what happened? So there's kind of, and if you're new to all of this stuff, if you kind of are thinking, I'm looking at expanding my intuition, I'm looking at growing one way or another, you will bounce between those two extremes, between that's just what I do, and oh my God, now it's gone. So, finding the middle ground is all you need to do. And once you've got the first few steps, honestly, you'll fly. It's such a quick process when it's been simplified for you, and you are, reminded to use it your way, do it your way.
Now that is talking to me. Do it your way.
Yeah.
I am the most stubborn person out there. If it's not my way, it ain't getting done.
See, I always used to be a rules girl. I'm a very firstborn through and through. So don't break the rules, don't break the rules. And then I worked out along the way that the universe would deliberately drop things in that were a little bit out there, a little bit quirky, and the more I followed that, the clearer everything got, the easier. The flow was amazing. So it's not that I don't deliberately break the rules, but I'm very, very focused on doing things my way, because it's not, again, I think if your intention is beautiful and you're going in with an open heart, you kind of can't fuck it up.
And you're talking about rules. And I think rules are they're by the creator wanting to control everybody else and the way they do things. And rules, just if we were simply a society that cared and loved people unconditionally, all these stupid rules wouldn't be necessary.
Yeah.
We would just know.
Yeah. And you find too in I guess in this field, in this intuitive kind of space that I work in, I've seen it. Well, the way that I've observed it is that some things are complicated almost deliberately, like you have to go by the rules to contain other people, to keep exactly that word, control, to keep in control. And it's my method, or it's my it's almost like it becomes that some of the intuitive tools that we can use become almost their own little cult or religious aspect, or and I think that there's got to be fluidity to be able to let people utilize it as they see fit, and intuition is such a personal thing that but I don't think a lot of people realize that personalizing it is the key.
I like the idea of personalizing it. But it's kind of foreign. I hadn't thought about it before, and my brain's like going a million miles an hour. Like, how would I personalize this? But that's the whole problem. You don't have to. You just have to let it shine.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's definitely trial and error. And I think that when we start to be willing, this is one of my golden rules, be willing to fuck up, because we do try and do get things correct, or we don't want to step out of our comfort zone and all of those sort of things. And I think you've got to be willing to go, well, give it a go. I'll see how this goes. So, so try doing a reading for someone else, someone out of your comfort zone. Try doing, or taking a, what you would probably call, what people would probably call an educated guess about something, and, asking for a sign or a signal that's a very specific thing, and just see how you go, because you can't, as long as no one's going to die, you're not going to hurt anyone by asking for this clarification. Go for it.
Yes, let's hope nobody dies. Like, I hope that I don't have that kind of power.
That's a little sentence that my oldest son is on the autism spectrum, and he used to get very, very anxious about doing anything new, and that was my fallback setting for him was, if you do wear different color socks, is anybody going to die? So it falls out of my mouth all the time, and other people go, whoa, but
no, but you know what, it really is. It takes it right down to that. How important really is it? I just recorded a podcast that isn't coming out for a while. It's one of my solos, and it was about make this decision with 1 hour of life in mind. Not that, I can't make the decision because I'm not going to do it for 5 days, or, take that out of your mind. But really what it makes you do is focus on the priority.
Oh, that's
if
brilliant.
I really was not going to be here tomorrow, what would my priorities really be? Would it be go to the office today and bust out 10 hours of work so I could come home exhausted, not talk to anybody, go to bed and die?
Yeah.
Or would I choose something else for my life? And it wasn't, the death part wasn't part of it, but it was just, how do you instill that urgency of, it is important to look at your priorities when you're making a decision. And if the only way to quantify how important it is if you're not going to be there in an hour or 2 hours or a day, what would the decision change?
Yeah, I would love that, because I'm a deadline girl. So that would really speed things up in my life. I think I'm going to use that one.
Yeah. 1 hour. It's like, I know that sounds extremely aggressive, but I've thought about it several times, and it's like, if I was going to die, what would this impact? Where would the most of my energy be the best use? And in fact, I asked the kids this the other day, and my son-in-law's like, oh, I would start writing down all the things I want my daughter to know. And like, you have this, where is the priority? Raising children that are grateful and happy and productive, and not just well-dressed.
Yes.
we go to work to dress them well, but what about all the other parts of their life that's important?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. I love that.
I really want to talk about your cards, because I love Oracle cards. I love dealing with cards. I want you to share with us, but we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, have word from our sponsor. And I want to delve into that whole process of how you got into creating them in the first place, and then how you work with them. So we'll be right back.
This podcast is sponsored by Lara Jane Coaching. You know you're ready to silence your inner bully voice. Let Lara Jane support you with coaching. To schedule an introduction call, go to larajanelayton.com.
All right, Lyndy, you're on the spot. I want to hear about these cards, because when I saw them, I had to buy them, and I got the fucking Honest Oracle cards is the deck I got. And I've played with it. And the thing that I like about it is that everything in it is positive. I never felt threatened. I could pull any of them and it would support having a beautiful day, not I got to change. So how did you, because we're talking about intuition.
Yes.
What was that trigger that said, you need to make some Oracle cards? And they're going to sell like hotcakes, because I think if you put the word fucking in them, I know 100 people off of my 200 people list that would buy them before anything else.
Well, it kind of was I kind of honestly made them as a little bit of a joke, a little bit of a in your face to the Oracle cards that are complicated, and they're all, fluffy, and you can interpret however you want it. I thought there was, and believe it or not, I was whippersnipping. So I live on an acre in the Dandenong Ranges, so it's quite a block to maintain. Whippersnipping, I think you call it weed whacking, but with a blade. Mm-hmm. And this is a thing as well, is that your meditation might look different to other people's. You don't have to sit and to meditate. For me, one of the things is whippersnipping or mowing or doing dishes or whatever. So anyway, I was whippersnipping and thinking back to when I first started my kind of intuitive process, becoming more involved in intuitive stuff. And someone told me once, buy a deck of Oracle cards. You need Oracle cards. So I bought them, and then they sat in the packet for 18 months. Like, I didn't take the plastic off them because I was kind of terrified, going, what do I do with them now? I don't understand. And when I did open them and read them, I went, I still don't understand. It didn't make any sense to me. It was so convoluted and, clearly aimed at people who already had some sort of understanding or depth of connection or whatever. So I was thinking, what if there was a really simple deck? What if there was a deck that just told it how it is? And being an Aussie, the F-bomb falls out of us all over the place. So I went, well, fuck it. Why can't it be easy? And then I got the idea, well, why can't it be fucking easy? And then, of course, it had to be fucking honest. There was no doubt about that. And initially, a client of mine does printing, and I spoke to her about the idea. She said, oh, great idea. And she helped me with the printing. We printed them with her. And I said, oh, gee, I don't know whether to get 50 done or 100. And she said, I think you need 150. So 3 years later and 12,000 decks of cards later, they're doing okay.
That is amazing. That is so exciting. And I'm shuffling my deck, and I've knocked my energy into it. I just haven't thought of my question yet.
Sometimes you don't need a question. Sometimes you can just say, tell me what I need to know. So it doesn't need to be complicated.
All right, Deck, tell me what I need to know.
I've got stockists in America now. I think there's around 20 in America and Canada. So you can actually get them over there without the exorbitant postage fee. So that's very exciting.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I know a lot of my close friends love this word.
Just straight to the point, really.
And it's like, when I first bought them, I thought I'll probably end up giving these away to one of my friends. And now I've looked at them going, nobody else is getting this deck. It's mine. So the universe is going to tell us what we need to know, but nothing's falling out of the deck. And for some reason, I always go for the one that falls out, and it just did.
Yep, that's exactly how I use them too. The one that falls out is the one. And that's the thing. Like I was taught initially, like the one that absolutely not, you don't touch. The one that falls out is the one that you leave. It's not for you. But I, again, just went, I don't think that's right. That doesn't work for me. So, the one that falls out is the one I use as well.
I don't know what this one's talking about, but I'm supposed to change shit now.
Well, it might not be for you, Laura. It might be for your listeners. Because we do kind of fluff around, don't we? Like we do. Do you want me to read that for you in my Aussie accent?
Sure. Yes.
Okay, what number is it?
Let me open it. I mean, the card, I set it down 40.
40. See, this is the thing, the intuitive download and the process of writing the cards. Like I was giggling because the way the universe was wording things was just hilarious, and I felt very grateful to be a part of it because it's just good fun. So even I read them now and go, God, I can't believe I wrote that because it doesn't feel like me. I was out of it.
All right, I am so looking forward to you reading this. I just read it. It's perfect.
Okay, it says change shit now. You've put up with enough crap. Time for a change. I get it. Change is scary and feels weird, but honestly, do you really want things to continue on this fucking merry-go-round of gloom? Come on now. Get your ass into gear and be brave. We know you can do it.
I love it. That is like so perfect. Like, yes, we do put up with a lot of stuff and we deal with it because we're supposed to.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes we don't realize that we're doing a bit of a Groundhog Day situation until someone points it out. So, yeah, they're a loving kick in the ass. That's what I call them.
No, I read it and I went, all right, fine. What do I need to change? But when that was just the card. And then I read the words like, yes. And I think you were spot on. It is for everybody. And it is time for the listener to step up and stop dealing with the shit.
Yes.
And put yourself first. If you don't put yourself first, you do not have enough left over to give to everybody else. So do it now. How's that for pretty strong?
Yeah, that's right. Well done. That was great. Cards like that can suggest that you've got to burn everything down and start again. I think just like when I first started actually working in this field, I was working another job as well and doing readings and healings on the side. It just got to the point where I was busier doing that than I was, and I was making more money than I was with my part-time muggle job. So moving, transitioning was okay. I didn't have to stop one thing and do another, but the change might be a subtle shift to begin something, not necessarily cut something else off. So people have to kind of take that how it fits for them.
Right. And it could be as simple as changing my own priority of me.
Yeah.
Simple. Or it could be that one person that seems to switch my angry switch every time. I'm just going to stay away from them. There's ways to change without uprooting and transplanting and going through transplant chalk. I can just trim the tree a little bit and it's beautiful. I don't have to uproot it and put it in another corner in the house. So change doesn't have to be drastic.
Yeah, exactly. It could be learning, being willing to learn something new. I love learning. It's a great thing.
Yeah. I love learning the easy way, not through the hard lessons.
Yes. know. Geez, I wish I could get better at that.
Yeah, I'm learning to get better at that. Hey, tell me about your other decks, because I only bought the one. And I know that there was another one that was out of stock that when it does get in stock, I want.
Yes.
But I know you had a brand new deck coming out.
I do. So the fucking honest came out and then completely contradictory. And again, I didn't argue with the universe. I went, okay. I created the Awesome Kids Oracle Cards, which are a beautiful, non-sweary, uplifting deck for children with a bigger font so they can read it easier. Then came the Motivated. This one's out of stock. Get fucking Motivated, which was inspired by COVID and everybody going, oh, I've got nothing to do. I can't get myself motivated. I can't get anything done. But as I said, they've sold out. But Crude Creatures is on the way. So these are exceptionally rude. So you've got to be quite open-minded for these ones. But they've got images and stuff in them as well. I've got artwork done for those, which was a super exciting step. But they're pre-selling very well, and they will be available by the time this podcast goes to air. So, and I know the stockists in America are going to have them, so they'll be available.
So it's called Crude Creatures?
Correct. Yeah.
Is that anything like a power animal?
Well, that's the thing. I didn't. I have seen those decks. In fact, I think I've got one somewhere. I don't know where. But no, not really. It's kind of my interpretation of what the animals mean, because again, living up in where I live in the forest, like that, just the vibe I get from the animals. So, for example, ants were about, that feeling of working together and seeking support and giving support for a team effort. And bees were about kind of, creating, they create liquid gold. So it was along those sort of lines. But, I initially called them fucking honest animals. And it was interesting how it was such a clunky process to get them, whereas all the other decks had really flowed quite quickly. So the words had downloaded, but the printer delayed and this didn't work and I couldn't get people to do, this, that, and the other. And then as the minute that I changed the name to Crude Creatures, everything fell into place and they were going into print within 6 weeks. So sometimes that's a bit of a lesson too. If things are difficult for no logical reason, you might need to do that thing again, step back, get a little bit neutral and go, all right, what needs to change here? So when I worked out, because I've got things in there like unicorns and barnacles and dinosaurs, so they weren't just animals, they were creatures. So
I am so needing all of these decks.
Thank you.
I have a few. I won't tell you how many, but I have a few. I definitely have my favorites, the ones that are my go-to cards. And then I have the ones that special occasion, when they call to you. I have one called Moon Phases, and it doesn't call to me very often, but when it does, I love it.
Yes, I love that. I've got a couple of decks that are really quite quirky, and I've pull a card and go, I don't get it. But when they call out to me, I think, oh, this is really a message I need to listen to, because obviously it can't come through any other way. So I love it.
I wasn't listening. So it says, hey, you gotta way to listen. Once a card comes out, I go, oh, I did hear that. I just wasn't paying attention.
It's the way the confirmation comes through. So is it a deck of cards that helps you out, or is it someone doing a reading for you? It doesn't matter. As long as you get the confirmation and you feel a bit of clarity around that, that's the goal.
I love it. Yeah. Because, we all call it woo-woo. I used to do big events with my corporate friends and my woo-woo friends, and some of them were in both groups. And you just kind of, why do we call it woo-woo? Why is following your intuition, knowing that there's intuition, knowing that there's some source out there guiding and directing and helping every individual on this earth? Why is that woo-woo? Why is that negative? Why is that not the norm?
Yeah. Oh, I never see woo-woo as negative. I just think it's a kind of fun way to say.
I think it's fun, but there are people that think it's negative.
Yeah. Probably a good question. I just, I don't know. I think that there's so many, because it's quantifiable, I guess. There's not a book. There's not a set of rules with it. Like, everyone does do it their own way. So woo-woo is close enough. It covers quite a broad spectrum of things that we all do, I think.
I like that, because if you think about it, if you're a witch, you're woo-woo. If you are a shaman, you're woo-woo. If you are, you can think of a Reiki healer or any of the hats that you want to put on is considered woo-woo. It's not a single way of doing something. It's not just the person who reads the tea leaves. It's not just the person who beats the drum. It's allowing you to be you.
Yes.
Unconditionally, without any other expectation, without the worth of what the world expects you to be.
Yeah.
So I think we need to come up with what the acronym of woo-woo stands for and make woo-woo cards.
I bet someone probably already has. There's a lot of decks out there.
I'll go on Amazon and I'll type in woo-woo and see what I find. Because it's there. It's just sometimes we don't see it until it's time for us to consume it.
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, you definitely need to seek out what you want to learn about, I think, and go down the path that you led and see where it goes without knowing. I think that's part of the reason that people not block their intuition, but maybe don't follow it as closely, because they don't know where it's going to go. You don't know what skills or abilities you're going to have, and so it feels like there's no destination with what you're learning or what you're understanding or what you know. So it feels a bit weird and kind of, well, not wrong, but it doesn't feel safe. So again, that feeling of being brave and stepping out of your comfort zone and going, all right, well, I'll give this a go and see if this works. And if it doesn't, I know that it doesn't, and I can choose the next thing. So there's a lot of trial and error with finding your version of woo-woo.
And your version or my version or John Doe's version of who is going to change.
Yes.
Your soul is underneath a whole bunch of layers of things, of society expectations, of rules, of things that we've learned. And as you peel off one layer, you see more of your soul. You're not done yet. You're going to keep changing. You're going to keep changing. And the only people in this world not allowed to change their mind is a politician. Because if you said it 30 years ago, we're going to use it against you today. But everybody else can change their mind and we're not going to hold it against you. You said you didn't like X, but I changed my mind. I tried it now. Now I like it. So it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to grow. And peeling off those layers. I am authentic right now, today. Am I the same am I going to be tomorrow? No. One more layer is going to be gone. One more layer of this false belief or these trainings is going to be able to be weeped away. So we grow, we learn. And that doesn't make you, I wasn't not authentic last year. I'm just a different authentic because I've learned and I've grown. If we didn't learn and grow, we would be a bonsai tree that never changed. We have root systems. We can grow, we can expand, we can multiply. There's so much we can do because the universe is there to support us.
Yeah, I love that. It's beautiful.
So, do you want to tell us about any of your other decks or some last minute wisdom? Because I don't want this to be over yet. This has been so much fun.
For hours. Honestly, we could. I guess probably if people like what I'm saying and feel like that actually resonates for me, then maybe I am one of the people that you could learn from. So I have courses and classes available on my website. So lyndyjewell.com.au. So LYNDYJEWELL.
And you don't even have to write that down because it's in the show notes.
It is in the show notes. Sorry, I forgot that. Yes. But okay. I also, I'm on Facebook and Insta and all the things, and that'll probably be in the show notes too. So there's lots of ways to connect with me if people feel like I resonate for them. But do remember, whoever you come across that does resonate, they will resonate for potentially for X amount of time before you find someone else who resonates more for whatever phase you've grown into. So there's so many beautiful teachers out there, and there's so many people that are, there's also an awareness to have about some people teaching things, and it may not resonate with you, but it might have resonated with your best friend or your neighbor, or it doesn't matter. It doesn't make you wrong or them wrong. Just seeking out ways to expand your intuition your way is absolutely the key. And I'm thrilled for people finding it, because it helps, I think, in a lot of spaces with anxiety and stress and all sorts of things. So definitely feeling that connection to yourself in a deeper way can bring a whole lot of calm into your life that then creates a beautiful ripple effect.
I love it. Yes. And do it your way. And if we resonate with you, reach out. We're here. Lyndy and I are not medical or mental professionals. We are for sure here for entertainment. People that have walked a life, have learned to change directions, and have embraced our newness. So if we can inspire, support you on your journey, we are here. Check out the show notes and stay tuned for the next episode.
Are you tired of waking up exhausted? You are not alone. If you're looking to take your life back, let's start with the simple step of adjusting your self-talk. Stay tuned for the next episode with your host, Lara Jane. Remember to follow the show so you don't miss a next simple step that you can use to feel more confident. And please leave an honest review.